Okay. All right. So we are on module 3, class 3. Last class, we talked about the difference between parasympathetic and sympathetic. So fight or flight versus rest and digest. Again, remember when you think of fight or flight, I want you to think of activation instead of kind of that fight or flight response. So really it's going to be activation of the body, of the nervous system, of the thoughts. And then parasympathetic is going to be your deactivation coming down. And in the body and in the organs, it's going to do the same thing, resting, restoring, healing, sleeping, lowering inflammation. We talked about how you've got a vagal brake. You want to use that brake on your sympathetic system. And you want to have, well, you have to purposefully and intentionally do this in the beginning over and over and over and over during the day in order to get your vagus nerve active, just like you would work out a muscle. You don't gain muscle in a week or even a month. It takes about 3 to 6 months to be able to gain that muscle. The same as with your nervous system. So we talked about parasympathetic versus sympathetic. So now we're going to go a little bit deeper into parasympathetic. And so rest and digest, vagus nerve, we're going to actually take that and go to the deeper level of that. And there are more layers to parasympathetic than just rest and digest. Okay. So the first concept we're going to talk about is neuroception. Neuroception. So basically, this is the nervous system and the body's way of scanning if you are safe or if you are not safe. Okay. So the official definition is the nervous system's automatic way of detecting safety or threat in the environment, inside our body, and in our relationships without conscious thought. So, a lot of times we think of detecting safety or threat just in our environment, but that's not necessarily true. We can have a perception of a threat that's coming from inside our body. This may look just like clenching your stomach from anxiety. Okay. This may be inflammation. This may be having a cold or COVID. Also in our relationships, we can have this happen in our relationships. And basically what happens there is we start to have a conflict or something like that, and maybe our nervous system detects a threat there. So neuroception again is not, we're not aware of when it's happening. This is the key part here. Perception is what we're aware of. Neuroception is under our awareness. It's in our subconscious. It happens below our conscious awareness. It is fast. It is instinctive and it is constantly running. It never shuts off. Okay. So, the first thing it does is it scans the environment. It uses sight. So what am I looking at? Okay, I'm looking around the room. I see white, and I'm not necessarily thinking I see white, right? Until I actually pull my awareness into it. But I see yellow. And that actually is a threat to my system from a past traumatic experience when I was younger. I've always been very afraid of the color yellow. I'm not consciously thinking about it now, but underneath the surface of my awareness, yellow may be signaling threat to my body. I'm unsure if that's happening, but I do know for me, when I've done deeper work, yellow is a triggering color for me. So your eyes are always scanning. It's looking at colors. It's looking at the light. It's looking at screens, blue light in the screens. It's picking up natural light, all these different things. We also have sounds, right? So we've got your ears are constantly scanning the environment. Is there a thud? Is there a high pitched noise there? Is that a dangerous, threatening noise? Is that a safe noise, right? We use safe and sound to retrain that neuroception in our ears. That's one way we can do it passively. And because we can't really tell and we can't really change what our ear searches for. But we've talked about in the past, threatening noises are higher frequencies and lower frequencies to our nervous system. So if you have trigger happy neuroception, you're going to be searching for higher frequencies and lower frequencies all the time. And you can't change that just by telling yourself to stop. So you have to use the sensory organs, which is why safe and sound goes through the ears and does it that way. Okay. Our nervous system also scans the environment for subtle clues. Is somebody's tone of voice more demanding and sound as though conflict is about to happen, right? Facial expressions, body language, background noise. It's using and collecting all of this data, and then it's coming back and saying, oh, you're safe, or no, you're not safe. Okay. So then we also have internal scanning. Neuroception happens internally. So it monitors the inside of the body. What is my heart rate doing right now? What is the gut tension? Like, am I tensing my gut? Am I tensing my muscles? Do I have a shallow breathing pattern? Do I have pain, illness, exhaustion? Am I tensing my shoulders and my jaw? Are my hips really tight? So it searches everything in here, and what it's doing is goes, oh, her shoulders are tight. There must be a threat. Well, that's interesting, right? Because my shoulders are tight because I'm stressed. But our body actually looks at our own responses to that. And if they stay like that, it takes that as, oh, there's something wrong. She's stressed. We need to stay on alert. We need to stay in fight or flight. And there's the vicious cycle that happens and keeps us in fight or flight, right? So it's scanning internally, inflammation, cold, COVID, flu, what's going on, tense, is she or he let's see, sitting in a uncomfortable position, right, and causing tension in certain areas? Are you guarding certain parts of your body? Very, very smart. Neuroception is a very smart thing that our nervous system and our brain does. It's just so under the surface that we don't recognize it's happening. Our nervous system also scans relational things. So humans are wired to read other people. That's why we have facial expressions. Okay. A gentle voice and a warm face are going to cue safety to your body. If somebody approaches you in a way that's curious and understanding, if you are in tune with your body enough, you're going to recognize that you relax internally. But if they come at you with a harsh tone and cold eyes, what are you going to do? Your shoulders may flare up, right? Unpredictability, maybe. If somebody's unpredictable in their emotions, that can cue danger. There's no physical harm present, it doesn't really matter. Our body is still tensing as if there is. If there is physical harm present, again, it's going to remember those things, okay? So this matters because neuroception keeps us alive. The thing is it's not always accurate. Just because your neuroception scanner is going off doesn't mean there's an actual threat. If your body is tensed up because your brain thinks there's a threat, but there's not, that is misfiring and faulty wiring happening in the neuroception, okay? So what causes this to happen? Past trauma. Remember, we talked about in the very first class, if you have a history of childhood trauma, you are going to be primed to have limbic impairment. You are going to be primed to have more sensitive reactions to mold, Lyme, Bartonella, food sensitivities, all of those things. Why? Our neuroception, right? We're already trigger happy in our neuroception. Okay. Illness. Again, if you have chronic illness, your neuroception is high, right? So you're going to be more quickly flip over into limbic impairment. If you have chronic stress, working in a very stressful job for a long amount of time, it can make your system overly sensitive as well. Again, you're going to have a sensitive neuroceptive response. You're going to misread safe situations as dangerous. And by the way, this doesn't mean you know that it's dangerous again. Your body is misreading it as dangerous, okay? So this is why it gets very frustrating because you may say, I don't understand why my body feels like I'm in fight or flight. Nothing is wrong. That's true, except for your body is reading things as danger. Okay. So we have to reverse that intentionally. This is why, like, just a raised eyebrow, a loud noise, a smell can trigger your fight, or freeze without conscious awareness. Smell, we talked about this last class, is one of the quickest ways to access your nervous system responses because it goes straight from outside and straight to the amygdala, which we will talk about next class. But that's why smell is so quick to have a reaction. Okay. So if you think about it, if you're walking somewhere, Tammy, we were just talking about this. You when you smell something and then you have a triggering thing happen, um, the next time you smell something like that, it's going to shoot straight to a reaction rather than, and you're not even going to realize what is happening, okay? Because your smell is so connected, it does not have to go through the processing part of your cortex. It goes straight to the limbic brain. There's a plant that I don't even know what the plant is actually, but every time I smell it, I immediately am taken right back to my grandmother's house. It's so weird because that was the plant I smelled when I walked on her porch every time. And I really need to figure out what that is, but every single time I smell that plant, I'm on that front porch. So smells are very, very, very closely related to memories and experiences. Okay. So truly neuroception is why it's important to learn the language of your body. If we can understand what state I'm in, am I in fight? Am I in flight? Am I in freeze? Am I in fawn? Am I in rest and digest, right? What does that mean? It's different responses for everybody. This is why you are going to be individual in learning your own body. But if you can understand what state you're in, you can then rewire that pattern. The first thing you have to do is bring up awareness and understand the language of the body. What am I in right here in this moment? So in a little bit, we're going to actually do an active scanning and we're going to figure out what state we're in. Okay. But it's important to do this regularly every day so that you start to get comfortable with, oh, okay. That's what I'm feeling right now. A lot of times we run an autopilot, right? We're wired for stress. So healing and regulation is going to involve training the nervous system to update its neuroception. Okay, so we're updating this scanning, this threat scan. It's like we're giving it a program update. Limbic impairment is going to cause that faulty wiring. And it's going to make the brain and nervous system think that everything's a threat. This is why a lot of people have a really hard time taking a new supplement. A lot of people have a hard time just starting Safe and Sound because, again, think back to neuroception. Your brain and your nervous system think everything's a threat. So it can't even really detect what is safe at this point. So we have to teach it what is safe, give it that biofeedback so that we don't have to stay stuck in that survival pattern, okay? So when we practice felt safety, which we talked about last class, we're giving the body proof that it can be safe here and now despite the circumstance, okay? Just like physical therapy retrains a muscle, felt safety practices retrain your neuroception. The more that you practice, the easier it becomes for your nervous system to rest in safety instead of jumping into fight, flight, or freeze. So that is what neuroception is. We're going to go now into the order of nervous system regulation. So this is that next layer of parasympathetic that I was talking about. And I really want you to think of your nervous system like a ladder, and it's got these 3 rungs on it, okay? So when you're wherever you are on this ladder depends on how safe and unsafe your body feels. So this really depends on your neuroception, okay? It's going to automatically adjust you on this ladder depending on what your body picks up as safe or as not safe. So you've got ventral at the top here, and this is your rest and restitution and your social engagement. So your ventral vagus nerve, so you've got one vagus nerve, but it branches. Okay, so your ventral branch starts in your brainstem, it goes to your chest, and then it branches into all of your face. So think facial movements, expressions, connection with people. That's why it says social engagement under it. How do we turn on our ventral vagal response? We connect with other people. We laugh. We enjoy time with others. We also safe and sound. This is what we do with safe and sound is we turn on that ventral vagal response. Okay. So ventral vagal is everything above your diaphragm. This is what we're activating there. Rest and restitution. This is safe. This is where you're grounded. This is where you're connected. This is where you're open. This is where social engagement is actually possible. Okay. This is really where we want to be at most of the time. When you do detect a threat, whether it's real or whether your body just thinks that it's real, you're going to go down the ladder into sympathetic fight or flight. This is going to be fear motivated, okay? So sympathetic is, all right, my heart's racing. My muscles might be tensing a little bit. My shoulders might go up. My jaw might clench. My pelvic muscles might tense. My focus is going to narrow, right? Remember all of those body sensations that you feel when you're in fight or flight, tunnel vision. Your ears and your listening is going to change a little bit. This is where you're able to flee the situation, fight, flight, okay? This is your activated response. So this is danger. And if you cannot flee or fight a situation, think of like a possum. What are you going to do? We're going to freeze, right? That is the deepest possible fight or not fight or flight. That is the deepest possible like life-threatening response that our bodies have is shut down, freeze. This is kind of like trauma right here. It lives in that freeze response. So you can't do anything about it. You go down the ladder to dorsal shutdown and fear motivation. This is also fear motivated. It's the deepest survival response, okay? This is where neuroception comes back and says, life threat, and you shut down, collapse. Numbness, dissociation, low energy, withdrawal, isolation, right? Deep fatigue, heaviness, can't get up in the morning, I'm exhausted. This is this ladder right here is explains why some people overreact or just shut down, right? Without knowing why. It's not a thought out choice. It's the nervous system's neuroceptive response. Okay. So some people are like, I am depressed. I can't pull myself out of it. I cannot get out of this because your nervous system is detecting a very heavy threat that it believes is very threatening and it has shut down. So we want to think of this as the stress response as a ladder. Why do we think of it as a ladder? Because you have to go in order. So when you encounter stress, your body starts at the top and moves down. And then it goes all the way down to dorsal, maybe. Okay, when you go back up, if you are in dorsal, you cannot jump from dorsal into straight safety. You have to move up into fight or flight and then into safety. A lot of people don't understand, why am I anxious when I start to listen to safe and sound? Because you're moving up the ladder. Okay, you're actually on the road to healing, and you might just be kind of teetering right there. You're eventually going to get over that hump and move up to ventral, but you can't skip sympathetic. It's just the order of the nervous system. So a lot of people get stuck saying, I'm depressed and then I'm anxious and then I'm depressed and then I'm anxious. That is not necessarily a bad thing to be anxious. It's actually you're moving up towards rest and restitution, but you just can't jump straight there. You've got to get into that fight or flight sympathetic activation in order to get back up into ventral. So this is an ordered state. Okay. When you start to understand this, you're not going to be as afraid of anxiety and depression because you start to realize these are nervous system states. And under my awareness, my brain is recognizing a threat that I don't understand. So sometimes we don't really have to understand it. Sometimes we do know the threat. Sometimes our awareness is involved, okay? And we will get to that part when we do mind work. But when we're talking about the times we don't know why, we recognize there is a cue, and I may not know what it is, but that's okay. That doesn't mean I can't change it. You can without having to know what that cue is. which is the really cool part of neuroception work. So there are two other states. Trying to move you all of this over here somewhere where it won't get totally in the way. There we go. So we've got sympathetic fight or flight. In the middle, I changed sympathetic on top just for this because I wanted to show you guys this two states. Sympathetic and dorsal are both fear motivated states. Ventral is not. But it's not necessarily a bad thing to be activated or a bad thing to be down-regulated, right? So mobilization without fear is when you go into fight or flight without fear. What does that look like? Competitive sports, right? Maybe you're playing with a team, but you're also activated, but it's not fear motivated. This is good. This is not necessarily a bad thing. Again, this is why we talk about sympathetic as activation instead of a bad thing. Activation is not bad. When we stay stuck in activation by fear, then we can flip that on. But you can play competitive sports, be socially engaged, and also working towards a goal there and being activated. That's a great thing to do. You can also be immobilized without fear. So maybe this looks like laying on the couch, cuddling or hugging your child with and watching a movie. Yeah, you're great, you're tired, you're relaxed, you can feel your body being relaxed, but you're also in social engagement and relaxed. You can also do this just by yourself and watch a movie or something like that. So this is really just to show that those states aren't necessarily bad. When do they become a problem? When they're motivated by fear. Does anyone have any questions? So I'm not going to go totally through the sympathetic again. I do want to touch just a little bit on this because we are going to practice in real time. Sympathetic nervous system, remember, you're going to have body sensations of raised heartbeat, right? You're going to have tense muscles. Your breathing's going to change. You're going to feel that mobilized energy kind of come through your body. Okay. Symptoms of this are going to be anxiety, agitation, restlessness, tense, rigid, tight, racing thoughts, hypervigilance, reactive. You're going to have that chest tightness sometimes, hard to breathe, feeling like you can't take a full breath. Your behaviors, you're going to be fidgety, you're going to be impulsive, you're going to have urgency that comes over, you're going to have panic attacks, overreacting, intrusive thoughts, symptom rumination, trying to find an answer or certainty. Why? Because your belief system in this state is that power and control and certainty creates safety. Okay. Could be that perfectionism and achievement make me lovable. Those are some possible beliefs that can come through this. So, what does that mean? Well, this is where you become a detective. Oh, instead of getting lost in my thought process, I'm going to pull myself out of that and say, I've been ruminating a lot over my symptoms. Interesting. That means I'm in fight or flight. Okay. Oh, I've also can feel my chest being tight. All right. So if I've just gathered that information about myself, there's something I can do now. When you are, oh, is everyone on here? Unmute if you are, and let me know.
Present.
Okay. Okay. I can't see you, but can you see me, Tammy?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, wait, open presenter view, maybe? No.
Somebody's in the chat and says, if I don't know if you can see it, somebody says they're good.
Okay.
L's good.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay. So sympathetic energy. So when you find out you're in this state, what are things that you can do to pull yourself out of this state? These are going to be different than if you're in dorsal, okay? So if you are feeling sympathetic, chest tightness, all those symptoms we just did, Think energy out. How do I get my energy, excess energy stored out? So, shaking. This is intentionally shaking your arms and your legs, your shoulders, everything. And then you want to let the body relax and feel the deep breath that comes after. Cardio burst, running in place, jumping jacks, dancing, punching, kicking a pillow, pacing, stomping, okay? If you can't do any of these big cardio bursts, then you want to do some somatic grounding. This is pushing against the wall as hard as you can for 5 to 10 seconds, release and notice the shift. Okay. So think pushing the energy out of my body. I am working with my body by tensing to let it out. This is like with, with fevers, we say get into a warm bath. You're working with the body instead of against it. Towel pull, hold a towel and pull it tight from both ends and then release it. Again, working with the body, we are tensing with the body to release the energy. If you can't do any of that, you're in the car, squeeze your fist as hard as you can. Engage your thighs and your glutes for a count of 5 and then let it go. So if I notice I'm tense, I'm going to tense myself really hard for 5 seconds. I'm going to work with it and then I'm going to release it and let it go and recognize the shift that happens right there. And then you should have a breath triggered just like that. Okay. You can also release through your voice. So a big breath, a big inhale. And then when you release through your voice, you want to push out. Think of energy flowing out of your mouth instead of your body. Humming, chanting, sighing, things like that. Okay. Big sighs. So if I'm anxious, if I'm ruminating a lot, I'm going to pause my rumination and release energy. And then after you've done that, you can then transition into your calming practices. Okay, so gently rocking or swaying. You might have heard of a containment hug. If you have not, you're going to take your left hand and put it under your armpit, your right up on your shoulder. And then you'd hold this and rock and sway, and this lets the body know it's safe right where it is. Okay. These things always come after releasing the energy. Slow walking outside. Okay. So you kind of want to imagine sympathetic pressure is going on. Can y'all see my screen now? Let me fix it this.
I can.
You can?
Yes.
What is going
I
on?
can see you.
You can see me, but not my
Yeah,
screen.
I don't see any screens. No.
I don't understand. Stop share. Let me share it again and see if I can.
And LB says you disappeared for a minute.
Yeah, I don't know what is going on, and that's driving me nuts. So you cannot see my screen?
No. Most of the time, I've only been able to see you, except for when you had the ladder up and then you switched the um, categories to show the mobile. Then after that, it kind of went away.
Hmm. Let's see if I can fix this real quick. I'm not really good at tech stuff, but it's saying that I am sharing it, but it's not sharing it.
On my end, it's spinning. It says Casey Kana has started screen sharing, but I'm just spinning. I'll check the chat and see
Okay.
if we have anything from anybody.
See.
Nothing yet.
Okay. All right. Well, that is super weird. I'm just going to stop the share and we don't necessarily have to have it up there, but I might retry it in just a minute. But so basically sympathetic, shaking up a soda can, um, the pressure builds. You want to release the energy and through movement, sound, or grounding. So basically, what you're trying to do when you do that is you're popping the top of the soda can slowly so that it goes shh instead of a big burst, right? We don't want a huge burst of energy. We just want a slow burst of energy or a slow stream of energy as we come out of that. So let me as background over the shoulder, side by side. Content only. Hold on, let me see if I can do it. All right. I don't really know what is going on with this, but I'm so sorry. Laura, can you see um the screen here? We'll see if she responds. No, same as Tammy. Okay. Well, I will fix it. And when I'll probably just re-record this and then send you guys the correct one. But I do want to get through.
Casey, hold on. I think she says
You're the
it
host.
looks like I'm the host. Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Abort.
oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah. Oh my God.
How did that happen?
Now it's she says it shifted when Casey dropped.
Okay, that has
Okay.
what is going on then. Weird. Let me look if I can change it.
Yeah, girl, y'all don't want me hosting anything.
Okay, well now it says I'm the host in here.
Okay.
Oh,
Um, oh, is it Laura? LB's Laura? She says, or the AI assistant is in control.
gosh. Oh,
But you know what? I'm not in the, so I don't know if this is, but you know how you have two things you can click on? I clicked on the one without the AI assistant
okay.
because that's the one you told me to.
Yeah.
So do you think that you're not an AI assistant, right?
No.
And if Laura is, do you think, oh, there it is. I have a screen.
Oh, good. You can see this now.
Um, Laura says she's a human.
Good. I'm very happy. Uh,
Love it. Okay, that's awesome. Let's see. So, she's laughing. She has laughing emoji. And I can see your screen. I'm not sure if she can. I'm looking for the chat just in case you can't see it. Oh, she can too. So
good.
we're on. We're engaged.
We're engaged. We're on.
Yay.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't know how to get. Oh, all right. I don't know how to get these notes off. I just want the screen, but we're just going to roll with it. Okay. So moving on to dorsal. Um, Laura, if you have questions, go in the chat and then I can answer them too. So dorsal, again, we talked about dorsal is kind of that big shutdown after you experience anxiety. And so this is activated when you have overwhelming force. So think of like that soda can. You won't release that pressure. It has nothing to do but do what it's got to do to stop the anxiety, right? So this is again the freeze response that often correlates with trauma. This fosters in the body, you're going to have that deep shutdown, deep fatigue. Okay. The symptoms you're going to have are feelings of hopelessness and hopelessness and apathy, shutdown, shock, depression, depressive behaviors. You're going to be sad. You could even be anxious in this. Empty, guilty, irritable, ashamed, and restless. So, behaviors that come with this isolation, loss of appetite, loss of interest in activities you enjoy, overeating, digestive issues, not being social, lethargy, lack of energy, lack of goal-oriented activity. Okay. Other symptoms is problems concentrating or remembering details. So you've got that brain fog, not having an easy time making decisions, pains and aches that move around the body, dissociation, daydreaming, not feeling attached to reality, out of body experiences. The body feels heavy, pot symptoms, dizziness, that passing out feeling. Okay. Possible beliefs, isolation is safety. It is not safe to be with people. I don't have the energy, right? So, how do you come out of dorsal safely? You want to think gentle, gentle, gentle. Okay. So you want to start small. You want to have micro movements. Again, remember we have to activate a little bit to get ourselves back into ventral, but you want a little activation. So start moving your fingers, wiggle your fingers and toes. Okay. Gently roll your shoulders. We're activating our muscles, yet we're not tensing them. We're shifting our weight, we're rocking, we're moving, but we're not necessarily doing too much because again, we're not having that pressure can that's built up and ready to explode. We actually have a lack of that, right? Safe mobilization, walking in nature, something that's rhythmic, light movement, sensory stimulation, smelling something uplifting, okay? Listening to music you enjoy, gentle shaking or bouncing, just enough to wake up the body, not to overwhelm it. Stretching is a huge one. Cat cows, if you can. Long, slow stretches. Right here, you can do hip stretches. Open up those hips to try and release some of those emotions in there. Okay. Tapping, EFT tapping, if you've ever done tapping, there's a ton of videos on YouTube for this. I love tapping. I actually use it more for anxiety, and sympathetic activation, but you can use it for dorsal as well. You could also do some bilateral tapping, like some butterfly taps like this. Okay, again, we're waking up the body bilaterally, slowly tapping it and getting our body moving. Okay, sound, voice, eye engagement, social engagement if you can, stroking a pet, gentle breath practices. So you want to think slow movement back up into activation, okay, until the body is ready then to activate and get back into ventral. So, when you're in a dorsal shutdown, your body is trying to actually conserve its energy and protect you. It thinks there's a life-threatening threat. I need to conserve and hoard all of my energy so that I then have it ready to burst if I need to, right? Um, the way out is again not to force energy or demand connection, but to gently reawaken your system step by step. So it's kind of like lighting a candle in a dark room. You start with a spark and then you gradually grow that flame and it gets more and more and more, and the room gets a little bit brighter over time. Okay. So um, again, remember you go from dorsal up the ladder, sympathetic, then ventral. First, bring back just enough energy to mobilize and then guide it into connection and calm. So that's how you pull yourself out of dorsal, which is that deep survival response. Ventral vagal. This is when this is activated, we are calm, we are soothed, we can access social engagement to be socially engaged. And what I mean by socially engaged is to be actually present when we're socially engaging with someone. We can socially engage with somebody and still be thinking about our symptoms in the back of our head, right? So we have to feel safe and be healthy in order to engage. When we are socially engaged, we don't have to do anything. We can just be relaxed, right? If we have a well-functioning nervous system, and we're socially engaged, we might naturally meet a new situation with openness, trust, and positive expectations. Okay. So, what are our beliefs in this state of mind? People are safe. People are good. The world is safe. I can explore the world. My body is not a threat. My body isn't against me, and the world is not a threat. Food is not a threat. My body can heal, right? So these are the belief systems we want to when we have this belief system, we recognize, "Ah, I'm in ventral. Okay, good. This is a good state to kind of recognize that I'm in. Okay, so that's the goal here, is to get in ventral. Again, remember dorsal and sympathetic are not bad. We just don't want to stay stuck in there. I'm going to show you this chart here. I'm not going to spend much time on it just because it's pretty in depth and I want to do some sensation mapping before we close out today. But I do want to bring up this state dependent functioning map. So this kind of shows you a more in-depth way of what happens when you're in fight or flight, okay? So the different stages, here's fight, flight, freeze, flock, and reflect. Reflect would be vagal. I'm sorry, ventral. So fight or flight are going to be your sympathetic activations down here. Freeze is going to be your dorsal. So I want you to recognize what happens here when you are in these states. So if you're in fight or flight, you're using your midbrain, which is your brain stem, and your brain stem, which is autonomic, your autonomic nervous system. So you're going to be reactive and reflexive. You're going to have fear and terror. You're going to feel defiant and aggressive. You could have dissociation and fainting. And then time. This is the most important thing here. You don't have a sense of time. It could be minutes of seconds. So when you are in sympathetic, your sense of time is urgent. Now, minutes, seconds. I don't have time to think about this. There is no future thought that is in the present for me right now. It's all very urgent. Okay. Whereas if you go down to reflect and ventral, recognize time, you can think about the future because we can use our cortex brain. Okay. Things are abstract, calm, rest, rest, an extended future. So again, I'm not going to go through this chart. This is very extensive, but I just wanted you to see those things. And I wanted to recognize that sense of time is even altered when you're in these different states of mind. So let's sensation map. So how do I know what I'm in? Well, the easiest way to do this is by doing some sensation mapping. So if you can go ahead right now and sit in your chair and get comfortable. And you can close your eyes if you need to. For me, it's easiest to close my eyes and you sit back. And then I want you to just focus on your body. And all you're going to do is pretend as if you are sitting in a chair and you're pulling it right up next to yourself, okay? The inside of yourself. And you're thinking, okay, if I were sitting beside myself, what would I describe those sensations as? So I'm going to walk through mine for you so that you can understand what I'm doing here. So for me, I would describe as my shoulders. They're not tight, but they're on guard a little bit. So they're kind of rolled forward. They're on the verge of tightness. They almost feel as if they're pulling forward. My abdomen is guarded and ready. It is trying to support my shoulders and trying to pull that in. My neck is guarded as well. My head feels clear, slightly foggy in the front, maybe. My neck feels open in the back, almost airy. And then I would go down, okay? And what I want you to do is every single time you stop at a point and recognize it, I want you to use three adjectives that you can use to describe that point. So things like feathery, light, you can pull in colors, heavy, tense, tight, uh, things that you, again, I used airy because that was the best thing that I could think of, almost as if like air is just kind of flowing through back there. You want to name the sensation in a couple of adjectives as if you were observing a picture, as if you were observing a painting on a wall. And so once you find a sensation, so like I'm going to start with my shoulders. I found that sensation there, and I'm going to describe it in three terms. So I'm going to say, and take as much time as you need. Heavy, round, and pulling. And then what I'm going to do is I'm just going to watch it. Just as if you're looking at a painting, you're just going to sit there and watch it. Oh, for me, they just dropped a minute. It dropped into my back, and the back of my head clicked. Oh, it's still clicking. And now the sensation has moved to my chest. And it's fluttered a little bit, and now it has settled in the middle of the chest. It's heavy, firm, and stuck. Okay. So I'm just going to sit there and watch that. I'm going to take a deep breath in. I'm going to recognize at this moment, I'm not ruminating on thoughts. I'm describing sensations, but I know that tightness is a sign of sympathetic. So I'm going to just shake my arms a little bit, release some energy, and go back and notice any shift that happens there. All right, it has moved to my neck. I'm not feeling as though I need to release energy. I'm actually feeling as though I need to do some gentle swaying. So I may do that. Work with the body, not against it. We're not forcing the body to do anything. We're working with the body. So I want you to play around with your sensations. The goal here is curiosity, curiosity, and compassion. And may I say curiosity again, because that one is so, so, so important. Curiosity is going to breed your compassion. If you are not judging your sensations and attaching meaning to them, then you are only describing the body, and therefore it's going to move. Your sensations are going to move. I can already feel lighter in my chest and in my shoulders. And that's going to happen. Okay. That is a very simple practice you can do every single day. That is called sensation mapping. So that is how you are going to get familiar with what state you are in. So I can sit here and say, I'm connected. There was a little bit of fear motivation. Now, for me, I just got acupuncture done, so I know I'm in the middle of detoxing, so I'm probably guarded because there is some of that going on, but I don't really have to know. All I need to know is that I am slightly unsympathetic, so I'm going to work with that, and I'm going to make sure I work out today and go on a walk because I know my body needs to release a little bit of energy to make sure that it stays in balance. Okay. Or if I can't work out or go on a walk, I'm going to make sure I shake my arms and legs. I'm going to maybe push against that wall, right? And release. I'm going to pull against my arms or my fingers like this and then release. Woo. And then you're going to get that shift sensation that happens inside of your body. So that is sensation mapping, and it is so important to do that. Again, if you can, I really want you to think of at least three adjectives when you track your sensations, and talk about them. This is way back in the first class, we talked about being curious and not attached to your symptoms. This is how you do that part, is talking about the sensation, not how it's related to a symptom or an illness. Okay. In DNRS, Annie Hopper talks a lot of this about calling them its. That is detaching from symptoms or the narrative of an illness. We will get there in limbic work, but this is another way to detach, and that's what I want you to do. Okay. Does anyone have any questions for me at all? I know this is a lot of me talking. All right. Well, I will see you guys, I think, yep, the 16th at 1 p.m. We are then going into the limbic brain, which is really fun.
Casey.
Uh-huh.
Hi. Laura asked,
Yeah.
how do we know we need to shake after mapping?
Okay. So,
I like to know too.
yep. So, as you describe, think about those symptoms of sympathetic states. Okay. So, when we talk about symptoms of sympathetic states, you're going to have tightness. You're going to feel guarded. You're going to feel hypervigilant, rumination. You may even have like tense. Anytime you feel tense or tight, I want you to focus on that sensation and then possibly shake. You don't have to shake if you're not feeling like that rumbling of anxiety, but I would want you to shake if you find your thoughts are going into rumination, or you find yourself going into what if this happens, or what if that happens, or what if it's this, or what if it's that. That's anxiety, right? So shaking is for activation and anxiety. So if you are feeling what you would consider anxiety in your body, I would want you to shake it out. If you feel what you consider energy humming through your body, I would want you to shake it out. If you feel deeply exhausted and not necessarily activated, you're going to do more of that gentle work. So Laura, when you have anxiety, what do you often feel for yourself? hmm Heart racing. Good. So you're going to then work with your body. As your heart races up, you're going to shake and let it flow out. Fast breathing, things like that. Tensing, if you do have tensing and tightness, think, I'm tensing and I'm tight. I'm going to purposefully create more tension. I'm going to purposefully create more tightness, and then I'm going to release it. My heart is racing. Think of that as energy, forcing that heart to speed up. I'm going to work with it and I'm going to shake it out. I'm going to let the energy flow out of me. That would be a way, or that would be a cue right there, Laura, is heart racing. Tammy, what do you feel when you have anxiety?
When I have anxiety, I feel like a sense of urgency, like I need to run. I have heart palpitations. I feel like I'm scanning.
Mhm.
Um, I just feel like, you know, urgent.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I need to do something, but maybe I don't know what I need to do.
right.
And so the panic stuff, um, I've learned over time just to talk to myself. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like, hey, you're okay, that kind of thing. Um, but sometimes it doesn't work.
No, and it's not always going to work, right? Because the nervous system doesn't understand words. So
But I do have a question if you have a minute.
yeah.
So when we were doing the thing, I went off camera so I could just kind of like, zero out. So I felt a whole lot of stuff at once, even though I was trying to focus on. So when you were walking through yours, I was trying to go there.
Yeah.
So one thing that I totally felt was the tension in the traps never moved. Once I stretched, it got a tad bit better. I did feel the heaviness and flutter in my chest, but one of the main things I felt was very nauseated,
Hmm.
exhausted, and I almost felt like I had a congestion in my ear for a second, almost like as if you put peroxide in it,
Yep.
and
Yep.
just very kind of heavy
Yeah.
and it just exhausted.
Yes.
What's that? The freeze that they say I'm stuck in?
I
Okay.
think you're in.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Right. The myofascial lady said I'm in freeze.
Yes. Yes. So
Okay.
for you, Tammy, you're going to have to gently pull yourself out by doing stretching, light movements, and you're not stretching to pull it out. Okay, so like sometimes you can stretch to be like, get out." That's actually the opposite thing. That's resistance. It's a light movement. We're not trying to free anything. We're just simply activating. Okay, rolling shoulders and then rolling them back, containment hugs, swaying, rocking, gentle activation. And then I want you to go back into mapping. Did something change after you did activation? Okay. And then you're going to make note of it. Okay. Now I'm going to do a little bit more. Oh, weird. I feel like I need to push against a wall. Like, okay. And then you're going to go back to mapping. What do I feel like? When you get good at this, your mapping won't be as intentional. You won't have to sit there and go, okay, right? You're actually just going to be able to do it in real time. So you can have a conversation with someone and be like, ooh, I feel tense in my stomach. I'm going to change positions, get some movement out, in real time. But for right now, that disconnection from body is one of the big things, right? Because, oh, I didn't even know I was nauseous until I actually took a minute and,
Correct.
right?
Right.
And then
Right.
listen. So
Okay.
I think when you have an overwhelming of symptoms and sensations, lightly recognize that it's overwhelming. And that's kind of simply all you need to recognize. Do some light dorsal work, bring yourself out slightly, and then try and go back in and see if anything has changed. I have a handout of exercises to do when between dorsal and sympathetic. So I will send that. I'm gonna make a note here to send that. Send
Thank you. So
dorsal.
is the goal of that mapping or what um, Laura and I just participated in, is the end goal to not feel what we were feeling, or is it just to recognize
Yeah.
where you actually were or are,
Yes, that's the goal right there. Yeah.
to
And
kind of like understand
mhm,
where your body is in the quote natural state that you're in right now?
yep. And then
Okay.
body. It is not our goal to make it go away. Now, when that becomes not our goal, sometimes it does go away, which is a great perk, but that's not our goal. Our goal is to work with the body and help it regulate.
Gotcha.
I want you to have those sensations and still be able to get into ventral and connect with people. And then the body learns over time, oh, okay, I can relax here. Oh, I can relax here, right? This again, this kind of work takes a long time, but it's if you do it every day and intentionally work with your body to either release energy or help it activate and go up that ladder, then your body's going to learn every single time, oh, I can feel safety right here. Oh, I can feel safety right there. And then it will start to relax a little bit more. You're not working against the body and the body's not working against you.
I think I'm programmed just to autopilot, so I still function every day. I don't know how, but I still have all of this going on.
I know.
So I think I'm gonna have a hard time differentiating how, because I can engage
Right.
socially and still be like jacked up
I know.
everywhere.
And that's deep dissociation.
And I know it's not normal.
You can disconnect from your body so well that you can engage socially and ignore that. But what happens when you do both, And so it is work, Tammy. I mean, a lot of this is
Oh,
learned
yeah.
from childhood.
Yeah.
It is work and it takes sometimes extra part sessions and EMDR and stuff to kind of pull out some of that trauma to understand. But this is learning the understanding what is my body holding on, like what trauma and stuff is my body holding on to. And I think craniosacral therapy helps too because it starts to release some of those thoughts and memories.
Okay.
Craniosacral is good because it helps you get into a safe state. Like it works with the rhythms of your body. I like craniosacral. And there's all different things that you can do, but that's a good one to do. Acupuncture does the same thing. Yeah, Laura said social connection can separate and mask how sick your body is sometimes.
I get it. And I think I'm pretty sick.
It's interesting because some people, when they get really sick, they can't connect socially. And then some people can socially connect and then ignore every symptom underneath, right? And people react differently and it's very interesting to watch, but that's a deep disconnection from body.
What is a deep disconnection?
If you can socially connect and then ignore the body, which, yes, like Laura said, a coping mechanism. And this has to do with what you've learned, how you've learned to exist, right? My daughter is that way. She's been through a ton of trauma, right? And you guys know some of this. If you don't, she's adopted and has been through so much trauma. She can somewhat socially connect, but she is extremely disconnected from her body. Has no idea. what's going on there. And so, yeah, we learn how to cope with I can't handle what's in my body, so I'm just not even gonna even go there,
Right.
right?
I think I'm there. So thank you for that coping, that word. I couldn't think of it from Laura, but yeah, I think I'm there. Like I have too much trauma.
So, Tammy, the only thing you need to do now is become aware.
I
Like
got you.
those simple connections with the body and become aware of them without fear, just compassion and curiosity. That's it.
Okay.
And they're going to start to connect to it.
Okay.
There's a lot there, you know.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well,
Thanks, Laura.
soon. Yes,
Oh,
without
without judging it as sick or bad, just observing. Got you. Okay.
where the curiosity comes in. You've got to be curious. If you begin to judge, and we will get this into next class when we start talking about the actual brain. If you begin to judge, your that it brings in a whole nother system into play, which is our mind. Which we can use our mind a lot, right? But if you've ever seen the picture of the iceberg about what's actually conscious and what's subconscious, way more is subconscious than is what actually conscious. But when we start to judge things, we're bringing in that mind, and then that adds a whole nother layer. And so if you can, try your hardest to not judge it, just describe it as an adjective for that sensation. In that, you're actually not judging it. Okay. And think
You're
of
just kind of like assessing it like a patient.
that's
Like
right.
I would assess my patients.
Right.
You're just kind of like assessing it, but it's your own body. So
Yes.
when you're asking people, what is your chest pain specifically? You're looking for those
Mm,
throbbing
be
kind
careful.
of,
Yes, those words, but you don't want to connect it with pain or chest pain.
got you.
That's kind of going into the judging category. So literally
Okay,
just the adjectives. Because
got you.
hard because if you're in medical, you're automatically you've been programmed to put it into a category. You've got to unprogram that. And every single time you want to go there, go back to an adjective, adjective, adjective. And Tammy, try not to use the medical adjectives like throbbing or pulsing.
Yeah,
Like
I'm sorry. Sorry about that. Yeah.
this is because I understand that. Try to use things like hard or loud or things that we wouldn't use medically so that it doesn't, because it's subconsciously going to connect for you without you even being able to control it.
Okay.
Yeah. And there's Laura.
Yeah. Not a symptom when you said you're pretty sick. That's a negative. Stay neutral. Thanks. Thank you. Okay.
All right, guys. Well, I will see y'all in 2 weeks and we'll continue on, okay?
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You
Bye.
guys have a good day. Will you send me week 2 or in
Yeah,
the recording as
yeah,
well?
I
Okay.
will. I will.
Thank you.
I recorded, so
Okay. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Have
Bye-bye.
a good day. Bye. Bye, guys. Thanks.